Myocardial stiffness is a key parameter for evaluating patients, especially with heart failure. The primum movens, the beginning of heart failure, come with myocardial stiffness. And eMyosound allows us to evaluate precisely in three-dimensional, in real time, this myocardial stiffness and allow us to better understand, detect, and follow up this patient. So eMyosound is giving us very specific information and outstanding information for patients with heart failure, especially for patients with cardiomyopathy like hypertrophy cardiomyopathy, amyloidosis cardiomyopathy. And why? Because in hypertrophy cardiomyopathy, we know that part of the heart is sick and thick, and there's an increase of hypertrophy in localized segment of the heart. And part of the symptom and the outcome of this patient is because the heart becomes stiff. And now we have to evaluate this stiffness to better understand the symptom of the patient and how the medication and the new medication are functioning. And thanks to eMyosound, with this new parameter, the 3D echo shear wave elastography parameter, we're going to achieve this new parameter of myocardial stiffness, and we hope and we think that this will help us to better diagnose this and treat this type of patient. Moreover, we have another disease like we call cardiac amyloidosis. Most of these patient has deposit of fibril, like say we can say like this, that come from transthyretin or antibodies that come into the heart and deposit into the heart. When they are deposited into the heart, they increase progressively the thickness and stiffness of the heart. And because of this increase of stiffness, you have dyspnea, you have heart failure, you are not feeling well, you have syncope, and you die. And a few years ago now, there is new medication improving the symptom and the outcome of those patients. But we don't have tools to evaluate this stiffness, to evaluate the disease, the progression of the disease. And eMyosound proposes new technology, this new echo modality, the 3D shear wave elastography, myocardial evaluation, allowing you to characterize the myocardium, his biomechanic, and his stiffness. And by this, we hope we'll be able to better diagnose, detect this population and treat it, because few years ago there is no medication. Now multiple pharmaceutical companies now provide us new medication with different mechanisms, but all targeting the deposit of this, let's say, bad protein into this muscle, the cardiac muscles. And they need the tools to detect it and to follow and to see if there is responder and no responder. Up to now, you need cardiac biopsy, you need echo, you need MRI, you need PYP scintigraphy. So it's a very difficult process to get to the diagnosis and to treat this patient. And we don't have a true tools to follow them to see if the medication is working yet, yes or not. Thanks to eMyosound, thanks to Vocello, this new device, this new modality, this new probe achieving the 3D evaluation by elastography of myocardial stiffness, we will be able to follow not the consequence of the disease, but the disease itself. Because the disease is working on the myocardial stiffness, and the progression of the disease is linked to the increase of the deposit of this bad protein and of the progression of the thickness and stiffness. Our ambition is to follow this and to be able to say, okay, there is a responder and non-responder. There is a long way to go, but we are now going fast. We have our Vocello device. We are in process to do a clinical trial to get, we hope in the next future, the authorization to apply this on all the patients. eMyosound addresses a huge population of patients with cardiovascular disease. We know that heart failure it's a very growing disease because it's linked to the aging, and we have an aging population, especially in the Western world, and we evaluate all across the world 60 million patients with heart failure. We have only for USA 7 million patients with heart failure. Half of them are heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, with the key problem is myocardial stiffness, and eMyosound aims to evaluate this myocardial stiffness completely non-invasively by 3D echo elastography. On this heart failure preserved ejection fraction, about 13% of these patients are with cardiac amyloidosis. We know in this population the myocardial stiffness is very increased, and there is no new drugs that address this population, but we have a true clinical need for detecting this disease and better following this disease. And eMyosound aims to better characterize this population of cardiac amyloidosis and hopefully better following them through the myocardial stiffness.